Today's show is all about the Graham Broncos country. Kind of. Welcome into Broncos Breakdown by Chat Sports. My name is Moose. Why is today's show focused around Instagram? Well, it seems like news from big-time players in the NFL always kind of come from their social medias nowadays. And David Njoku is no exception. Last night, posting a very long and drawn-out, heartfelt message to Cleveland, the city, and its fans, talking about him being grateful for the time that he spent in Cleveland, but that he is no longer interested in re-signing with the Browns, will not re-sign with the Browns, and will explore a new home in NFL free agency. And then you knew it was legit when Adam Schefter came out and said the exact same thing. Tight end David Njoku, who is scheduled to be a free agent, announced that he will not return to the Browns in 2026. Now, Broncos country, I want to be very clear that this is not just something that David Njoku just kind of talked about and said, hey, listen, it is what it is. No, he put a lot of thought into this. So it's legit. He could be exploring a new home in free agency. And the Broncos were listed as 100% a landing spot. But here's the message from him on Instagram. Cleveland, first off, I love you. These 9 years have been a beautiful journey. I am so grateful for all of the memories that we shared together. Thank you to the Haslams, Andrew Berry, and the whole Browns organization for everything. To all my teammates I shared battle with, I'm so grateful for you guys. The time for me to find a new home has come, and all I can think of is just the gratefulness in my heart. The city of Cleveland will be forever home. Kind words, great words, consummate professional there from David Njoku. But like I told you, this is not the David Njoku channel. This is the Denver Broncos Breakdown, and the Broncos were listed as a top landing spot. One of my most trusted sites on Pro Football Network listed the top landing spots, and they said the Atlanta Falcons, obviously, with Kevin Stefanski now as the head coach there, is the number one, followed by the Kansas City Chiefs, LA Chargers, and the Denver Broncos come in with the fourth highest odds to land David Njoku, followed by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, if you were to go off of solely the 2025 season, you would think that David Njoku was not the greatest tight end landing spot, or tight end free agent target, I should say, for the Denver Broncos, but I will caution you that he spent a good chunk of the year on the injured list, and now with Harold Fannin in Cleveland, who is now their tight end one, obviously Njoku's numbers took a little bit of a dip, but he still found the end zone 4 times in 12 games played. And I find that kind of funny because he found the end zone 3 more times than Evan Engram did, and Evan Engram played far more games than David Njoku did. But this is not a shot at Evan Engram. Trust me, we'll talk about him on the back half of this episode. It was time for Njoku to find another home. He's only 29 years old. He's going to be 30 here this coming July, so he is definitely getting up there in age, but you wouldn't consider him geriatric by any NFL measures, so he's kind of in that lower descending part of his prime. He can still give you, though, 5 to 7 touchdowns a season. There is no doubt in my mind whatsoever. And then the NFL Draft Network doubled down on the Broncos landing spot for David Njoku, and they said it's actually one of the prime destinations for Njoku, in their opinion. So the NFL Draft Network said the Denver Broncos may have played in Super Bowl 60 had starting quarterback Bo Nix not suffered that foot injury, or the ankle injury, in the divisional round over the Buffalo Bills. Don't remind me. It was a brutal break for the Broncos, who will spend the offseason continuing to invest in Nix's supporting cast. They should return as legitimate Super Bowl contenders, though, in 2026. Sean Payton's offense, this is the important part, did not receive enough productivity from the tight end position. Evan Engram is a potential cap casualty, as the Broncos could clear $6.5 million in cap space by designating him as a post-June 1st cut. Engram failed to surpass 500 receiving yards in his debut with Denver, and Njoku projects as an upgrade. Now, I want to be very clear. I think if you add Njoku, you'd probably have to get rid of Troutman. He's a free agent as well. Kroll could probably be your tight end 3, and I'd probably keep Adkins as a blocker. But I'm not entirely sure what to do with Evan Engram right now. And like I said, we'll touch on him on the back half of today's show more specifically. But having Njoku on this team offers a legitimate, more solid tight end option. He's more of a pure tight end than Evan Engram is. Whereas Evan Engram plays more out of the slot, Evan Engram is going to be that 3-point stance, 12-man personnel, 13-man personnel. And Sean Payton came out and said he wants to run more plays under center. Running the ball under center is something that's very high on his priority list in 2026. And with everybody believing that Davis Webb is going to call plays, you could see even more of a shift towards that multiple tight end set. So tight end might be that premier position the Broncos go after in free agency, and it is a very tight end rich free agency class this coming season. So David Njoku is just one of the very possibilities that I would sign in the free agency class, but I'll ask you. With him obviously telling Cleveland fans that he's no longer coming back, the Broncos' need for tight end, should the Denver Broncos sign David Njoku? Type S for sign, type your P's for pass. Now, like I told you, we're going to focus a little on Evan Engram as well because he becomes kind of the interesting piece in all of this. Do you move on from Evan Engram? Do you keep Evan Engram? I don't think the answer is as black and white as we originally thought. Sure, we listed him as a cut candidate because of the cap space, but there is a world in which you could do both. Sign Njoku and keep Evan Engram. Now, we're going to touch on that here in just a second, but before we do, got to tell you about our friends over at Harry's. I'm the hairiest guy you know. I got to shave my back like pretty much every single week. It's getting awful at 30 years old, but I do trust Harry's with my personal grooming habits. And when my old razor dulls way too quickly, when it irritates my neck, and honestly, I'm not trying to pay $30 for refills. That's where Harry's Plus comes into play. They've got their brand new heaviest razor handle ever, made from metal, never plastic, designed to fit comfortably in your hand, and it means more control and a luxe feel. Harry's just doesn't make razors, though. They've got a full line of grooming essentials, from shave gel to deodorant to body wash, all thoughtfully made and priced up to stock. All of Harry's blades, all of Harry's blades and grooming products can be delivered right to your door. You can set your preferred schedule and never run out of blades again. For a limited time, our listeners can get the Harry's Plus trial set for only $10 at harrys.com/code chat. That's harrys.com/code chat. That set includes the all-new Harry's Plus razor, one refined 5-blade cartridge, a 2-ounce foaming shave gel, and a travel cover to protect your blades on the go. Just head to harrys.com/code chat to claim that offer. And after you purchase, they're going to ask where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell the Moose from the Broncos Breakdown sent you. So Evan Engram is one of those players right now that I'm kind of on the fence with. I kind of consider him to be like a roster cut bubble candidate, if that makes sense. I'm not entirely sure what I would do with him right now. I know in an earlier episode I said I would cut him. I'm not entirely sure. And here's why. Even though he has been listed as a cut candidate this offseason, that was before Davis Webb took over the play. Well, not play calling yet, but took over as offensive coordinator. And the reason that makes a lot of a difference here is because we know that with Sean Payton calling the plays, Evan Ingram's role was about this big. And he even said it at the very end of the year. He said, I wish my role would have been bigger. Well, enter Davis Webb. Now you could see a bigger role in Evan Engram. We just don't know. But it might be too little, too late. So while I think a couple of weeks ago I was probably on the 80-20 that Evan Engram gets cut, I think that's kind of dialed back a little bit. And I'm now on the 60-40 that Evan Engram gets cut. I still think that with the $6.5 million that you could save, you're looking at a guy that failed to get over 500 yards. He didn't get more than one touchdown. It just wasn't a great experiment with Evan Engram. Now, he did have 76 targets, which is not an awful amount of targets, but again, 461 yards is not at all what we were looking for. And the injuries didn't help either. And $6.5 million is a lot of money, guys. It's a lot of money. Because David Njoku is going to probably go for somewhere between $7 and $9 million a year. $6.5 million, if you wanted to sign him, could go a long way into eating into some of that cap. And it's not just David Njoku. This tight end free agency market is chock full of talent. Dallas Goedert is a free agent. Kyle Pitts is a free agent. Isaiah Likely is a free agent. Otten and Ertz and Chigakonkwo. It goes on and on and on. If you want to take a look, I'm not going to read off all these names, but what I am going to do is keep you in mind here that the tight end position is very, very long with how many free agents can be found on that list from Mike Clay. I highly recommend you take a look at this list for yourself. You can go on Twitter, you can go on Instagram, or just Google it. Honestly, you can find the entire list of free agents in the 2026 draft class. Or not draft class, free agency class, excuse me. Expect Davis Webb to get far more under center with 12 to 13-man personnel. That's my official prediction, is that he will try to mirror more what Ben Johnson, Kyle Shanahan, and Sean McVay try to do. Lots of tight end usage. And it's one thing that Ben Johnson does really well is he gets the most out of his tight ends. So if you want Bo Nix to kind of explore more of the play action game, which will eventually lead into a stronger running game, which will eventually lead into more shots downfield, it all starts at the tight end position because they all trickle down from that position. If your tight ends can get open and kind of move the chains methodically, you can afford to take more shots down the field, if that makes sense. So I'm there with, signing David Njoku or another free agent tight end, but it's all going to come down to what Davis Webb and Sean Payton want their offense to look like in 2026. Speaking of, we are almost 57,000 in 2026. So if you made it to the end of the video and you still haven't subbed, you got to make sure that you're locked in and hit that subscribe button because we will be live for every free agency day for you. That's all I got on this episode, Broncos Country. I'll be back a little bit later today with more surrounding your favorite team. As always, a mile high salute. Be cool.